from everything you're saying and what I know about your firm after reading some of your reviews, it sounds like that you have the type of firm that's willing to go the extra mile for your clients to ensure that they have a good client experience with your firm. Can you talk about what some of those relationships have been like, or some examples of clients that have really stood out for you that you'd be able to share with us?
Sure. So, when I talk about the client experience, I mean, part of the client experience is just giving them a great result, and that's just part of being competent, being diligent, being, aggressive and doing what we need to do as the lawyers. But the other part of it are those touch points, like I told you about. I mean, again, imagine a case that's worth, let's just say $100,000, and they're at a firm where, even if they do a good job and they're polite and professional, but they don't really, there's no touch points along the way. They're not getting updated. They don't know that $100,000 settlement is good or not for the case, but they know how they felt about it at the end. So we really emphasize that in terms of connecting with the clients, kind of understanding what's going on with them. We get cases from a variety of sources. When I first started my practice, it was almost strictly attorney referrals. But as we've added cases and have more former clients, just because of the span of time and just the way, the math works out, we've gotten more client referrals. And, we ended up with a case a couple of years ago, in 2020. I think it resolved in 2020, incident happened in 2019, but, it was a catastrophic injury. It was a very bad car wreck, and it was a prior client that I had represented when I first started my practice in a very difficult, legal malpractice case that, the vast majority of lawyers probably would not have taken, just because the value wasn't there. And when you're dealing with any kind of malpractice case, that people just have a really high artificial value threshold. And so, we had done a good job on that case, developed a really good relationship with the client. And then it represented, some of her family members in the ensuing years, and her as well, in another car wreck that was, it was I wouldn't use the term minor impact, but I mean, compared to what ultimately happened to her in this more significant wreck, it wasn't a large case. I mean, I forget what it settled for, but it was, it was under $50,000. But she was in a very bad wreck. It was a DUI wreck. Guy was driving a company truck that had a $10 million insurance policy. And, we were able to get that plus some additional insurance from other sources that we were able to identify. I attribute that exclusively to the job we did for the client previously, the relationship we built with the client, and just, again, not only doing a good job, but providing good client service and developing that trust so that when something bad did happen, later, we were the ones that were looked to for advice and guidance.